Hey there everyone and welcome to JavaScript course, and let's review first of all what we have learned so far. Now so far the journey has been amazing, and let me just remind you quickly that now we are able to figure out how we can select any element which is like p tag or h tag or something like that. Also we have seen that how we can add a listener onto some events like click off a button, double click or stuff like that. And also we have seen that how we can take down all these elements and even can change them. Now it's time to move further, and first and foremost I would like to mention this add event listener documentation. So I'm going to go on to Google and I'm going to say event listener JavaScript and of course MDN. Amazing resource. So we're going to go, oh, did I type it there? Okay, so let's go here. And this API is really powerful, and all you need to do is you don't need to read all of it because now you understand it. All you have to do is keep an eye on the left hand side here. And we can see we have all these events like double click and input, key down, key press, key up. So I would recommend you highly that you at least have a look on this one. Yes, finally I got it. So at least have a look at what are these events and just click on any one of them so that you can see how these can be used. For example, if you're looking for a key press or key up or key down, something like that. If you'll click on that, it gives you information that key down event is fired when a key is pressed down. Notice there are a couple of events linked to it. When the key is pressed down, key is being get up and all these things. So you can have it. And this is just, you have to say in the strings key press, and then you can just tie up simply an event listener onto that, or get event simply a function onto that. Okay, so this is all good. Now let's move on to one step further, and now we're going to walk through with the forms. Okay, and so far let's just go ahead and get a form on our index. So click is okay. Now what we want to do just after this paragraph, I want to have a form or a simple input. So I'm going to say input, and there we go. It's a input of type text, which is totally fine. We're not worried much about the name as of now. ID, we can call it as my form. We can use it to track down this particular input. There can be many input inside a web page. And also I would like to have a placeholder, and I'm going to say search here. Something like that. So when I visit my web page, when I do so, notice we have a simple form or an input which says search here, and we want to track down what are the values inside it as the user is typing that, and also we want to do something when it is being clicked, and we'll move on to there later on. So right now we want to do something like which is there on Google. Of course, we will not be doing exactly like this one, like when I search anything for Google, for example, like this. And notice Google is fetching all the values from the database, and based on that, it's giving all these things. So somehow this Google form or this input is able to track down each and every word that I'm writing in here. Okay, so we want to do something like that. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. Okay, so first and foremost, we need to track down this form, which should be really easy. I'm going to put a comment there, track input form. And track, okay, come on, track input form. Okay, so how we can track that, it should be really simple. It should be really simple by saying document dot my favorite query selector, and in this query selector I would like to put it exactly the ID which I'm looking for, my form. Usually all the elements are being tracked using these IDs or classes, and since it's an ID I would use a pound sign. If it would be a class, I would be using a dot sign, just like in CSS. So there we go. Now I have selected that, and I also know that I can use an add event listener method. But the question is, what is this event when I'm typing on the keyboard? Of course, we have seen the key press and key press down and all of that. Now, one of the event which we can use is a change. Now, in order to have this, we need to go into the documentation and look for the change event. So let's just go there, and I hope it is somewhere there. And I think let's just see when we can find out this change, and if we can find out. Okay, a little bit hard to find out, but let me just walk you through with the example directly instead of digging up into documentation again. And once we have this change of this event listener, the second parameter that it's looking up for is a callback function. Of course, we can use our arrow functions or just a simple function in case you want to use that. And there we go, arrows, and there we go. So now we are into this arrow function, and I can just close it down so that we can have it. Okay. Now, all we want to do is we simply want to log the information from this. Now, obviously, whenever we have this function, it has an access to this event. And we have seen previously this event is a gigantic object which has a lot of things. One of them is event.target and .value. Now, this value actually holds up the value whatever you are typing into this form. Okay. So what we can do is we can go back onto this. I can open up my terminal console, clear that up, and notice when I'm typing something and I'm writing here and I just click outside, then it tracks that. So this is looking up for the change here. Now I think this is not serving me the purpose that I'm looking up for. A couple of more values that you can use instead of the change is, one of them is input. Look up as soon as user is getting an input. So I'm going to clean that up and I can simply say A, B, C. So this is something which is being used at the Google. And if we'll dig down, this is exactly what is being used. Obviously, instead of just targeting that onto console.log, they are using it to fetch it onto database and getting back a query every single time and showing you some of the most common results. Okay, so this is how it is being used. I spelled too many O's in the Google. There we go. Okay. So now that we have knowledge that how we can target all these things as well as on the buttons, can we write a simple fun example code? Yes, we surely should be writing that. So let me just clean all of that and we're going to design a simple application inside this particular element here. So what we want to do here is we want to simply create a validation form which is being used by the same exact input, and we'll be also using this button as well. And what we want to do is somehow restrict the input that it should only accept the values between 1 to 20. So that is really a fun assignment, okay? And yes, we can surely do that with our existing skills and the skill that we have learned in this section. So let's go on to this file here. And what I really want to do is create a new file. So I'm going to be creating a new file. I'm going to be calling it as validation.js so that we can have the stuff in our latest file. And instead of this myscript.js, I would like to link that up, which is validation.js. Rest of the file is totally okay for you so that you can utilize it later on. Right now, let's just go ahead and have it. Now, first thing that I always recommend to everybody is to just pop an alert. I know this is annoying, but always make sure that you properly have connected file with your existing document. And yes, finally we have. Even the simplest change, I always like to do this, whether that's an advanced project or the smaller one. These mistakes are horrible and we should always avoid them. Okay, so what we can do here is we can simply write a function which can do all such things. Now, there are a variety of ways how which you can select that and all of that. For this particular case, we actually don't need to do that much of the stuff. Now, this button can have a variety of attributes that you can pass on. One of them is on click. There we go. And in this on click, you can pass on any function that you can write. Okay. And I'm going to call this as my validation. And this is a function so that it needs to be passed on like that. Okay. Now these things, how you pass on clicks actually changes quite a lot based on how you're working. This is a simple web page. That's fine. In the React, in Angular, in Vue, this changes drastically everywhere. Okay. Now what it's going to do, it's going to look for this my validation function into this validation file. So let's just go ahead and design this function. It should be really simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, this is your function, and the function obviously should have a name. Obviously the function name is going to be my validation, and there we go. And we have to write a body for this function. Okay. Now notice I'm just writing a function definition. I'm not calling it because the call is being made by this on click. Okay. I hope you got that. Pretty simple stuff. So now this is my validation and I need a couple of variables here. So I'm going to call this simply, first of all, let, and the first thing that I want to do is find out the value from this form. Okay. So we're going to call this as let my value is going to be equal to, and again, simple, easy stuff, document dot query selector, and I want to select based on this ID. So copy that, go back onto validation and paste that. Of course, make sure it's inside a string. And the next thing, previously we were actually finding it based on all this stuff, but let me tell you, there is a better way of doing it. It's not like I have told you that query selector is my favorite stuff, so you should always go that. We can do that, surely, no problem in that, but this situation can be taken down by one of the more easier way. Let me show you what is that. What I can do is, instead of doing this query selector, remember in one of the video I told you about get element by ID? Yes, this makes much more sense here. So I'm going to just simply say and all of that, and I can simply say dot value, and there we go. That's it. We have done it. We have stored whatever the value is going to be typed inside that, and we have stored that in here. Okay. Now here's a quick assignment. Make sure you create a variable my value and use the query selector to find out the value. You can always reference to this file and store that into that one. Can you do that? Let me know in the comment section. This is going to be a simple assignment. Okay, so now I have a variable which says my value and has a value from the input form. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to check if the number is between 1 and 20. So what I can do is I can use an if and else block, and I can first and foremost check for is the value a number or not. We haven't discussed that much about it, but there is an option which says is nan. And this is actually to check out whether the thing is not a number or not. Okay, something like that. So we're going to say, and notice it returns a Boolean value that indicates whether a value is reserved a value nan, not a number. So we really want to check that if it is getting a not a number or something like that. So we're going to check for my value. There we go. Okay, now we want to do a couple of things. Okay, now we are going to say something like this. Let me write the logic first because it's a little bit hard sometimes to write and explain at the same time. So we want to check if my value is actually less than 1, and also I want to check with the OR condition if my value is greater than 20. In all of these cases, I simply want to say this is not a valid input. Now notice here, if I just use any alphabet, I want to say, hey, this is not valid. If I'm using less than any number, I want to say, hey, this is also not valid. And if I want to say, hey, if it is greater than 20, I also want to say this is not a valid thing. So what I can do is I can simply, this time I'm going to be simply logging it to console. And I'll give you a simple assignment to change one of the paragraphs to the text of it. Okay, I hope everybody can do that. And I'm going to say not a valid input. Okay, so there we go. And in the else case, what we're gonna do is we are gonna log simply saying this is cool, something like that. This input is okay. And don't worry if I've used the double quotes or single quotes somewhere. I usually prefer the single quotes, but somehow I have used double quotes. Okay, so there we go. Now let's just save this, and we're gonna set a save onto this. And let's go back here, clean the console, and we're gonna tie it up. So as soon as I say A and hit on click me, notice it says my validation is not defined. So we haven't defined the my validation here. So let's just see what we have mistake. Looks like a simple typo somewhere. So we have this my validation. Okay, I think it was caps. Save that. And instead, I would like to copy this and paste that so that we don't have that kind of error again. Go back here, clean the screen, and let's just say I type A and click me, and it says not a valid input. I should write not better. Okay, what happens if I write 0 there and hit click me? Not a valid input again. We can see 2 there. And what happens if I write 30 there and say click me? It says not a valid input. What about 15 or 14 maybe? And it says this input is okay. Okay, so there we go. We have quickly designed a simple application that can check for validation. Now here comes your assignment, okay? Now what I want to do is somehow select these elements, probably this last paragraph or maybe a paragraph with some ID. Okay, let's make it simple. Select this one with the ID 1 and go ahead and change this input, this inner content of this paragraph tag with whatever the console log that we have printed. Okay, this should be a simple assignment and I think everybody should be able to do it. So that's it for this video, and I'm going to catch you up in the next one.